No, vídeo troco. Quer fazer outra vez?
Não,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional country of the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains and pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and spiritual relationship with the land, sea and waterways and sky, and acknowledge that these are of continuing importance to the Kaurna people living today. We live in a beautiful city, however, we further recognise that the process of settlement resulted in the dispossession and dislocation of the Kaurna people, and that we are always mindful of this. My name is Spiros Saris. I'm the Vice President of the Greek Museum of Adelaide. For my sins, I am the MC for tonight. On behalf of the President, Chrysula Melisanaki, I extend a warm welcome to you all and acknowledge the presence of Steve Georgianis, MP, Member for Adelaide, Tom Kitson-Thomas, MP, Member for West Torrens, Mayor of the City of West Torrens, Michael Coxon. I haven't seen Angela Evans. Thank you. Adriana Christopoulos, newly elected Chair of SAMIAC. Congratulations. Haven't seen Father Ioannis, sorry. And the President of the Greek Orthodox community, Mr. Bill Gonis. We have apologies from the Honourable Stephen Marshall MP, Premier of South Australia, the Honourable John Dawkins MLC, President of the Legislative Council, the Honourable Jean Lee MLC, Mr. George Psakis, the Consul General of Greece, was unable to be here tonight, Sandy Bashur, Lord Mayor of the City of Adelaide, Chris Hanna, Mayor of the City of Marion, and Mary Kouros, Deputy Lord Mayor. If I've got the protocol wrong, sue me. 2019, the Greek Museum of Adelaide has managed to organise and present 6 exhibitions, including today, these being the West Torrens Auditorium in October 2019 and now in July. The Flumber or Hawkland Elg, December 19 and December 20, in great heat waves. The Greek Festival at Semaphore in January 20, and lastly, the Parliamentary House Library, March-April 2021, to coincide with the celebration of Greek independence. These exhibitions would not have been possible without the dynamic leadership of our President and Secretary, ably supported by committee members, the small group of volunteers and our exceptional curator. We have been able to accomplish these events under severe organisational conditions. For this, we must pay a special thanks to the organisations that agreed to host these exhibitions. Without this generous support, it would not have been possible to even get close to organising these events. This exhibition focuses on a variety of themes to help celebrate the 200 years since formal commencement of struggles against the Ottoman rule, and it includes mythology, Byzantine art, modern Greek art, folklore art, crochet works, embroideries, traditional Greek costumes, antiquities, and some old book collections, very interesting old book collections. And of particular note, the three-dimensional matchsticks display behind you, and the woven loom and items made of wool donated by several Greek women from immigrant women. These are but a small sample of the rich cultural heritage of the Hellenic peoples. The impact of COVID has severely affected our ability to put on these exhibitions, and it has not been an easy task. The rules were changing all the time. Even in the last couple of days they changed. However, we have achieved this, and the fact that we have was a no mean feat, that we were able to do so without a permanent place to call home, where we can store, curate and ultimately display the collection on a permanent basis. There is much work ahead. That's all from me. I now call upon the first of our three speakers, Mayor Mike Cox.
Thank you, Spiro. And can I just reference that Spiro, in a previous life, was a councillor on the City of West Torrens, and we served together back then. And I miss you very much on the council. It'd be nice to have another Greek smile facing me as I'm leading the council meetings. Ladies and gentlemen, may I start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land that we are meeting on tonight, the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains, and that I further recognise their spiritual relationship with their country. May I also acknowledge the following guests with us tonight: the Honourable Steve Georgianis MP, Federal Member for Adelaide, the Honourable Tom Coutts-Antonis, Member for West Torrens, Angela Evans, my favourite mayor of the City of Charles Sturt, Angela, Adriana Christopoulos, the newly appointed Chair of SAMIAC, congratulations on your appointment, Adriana. And finally, Mr. Bill Gone as President of the Greek Orthodox Community of South Australia. Bill. We had the apologies read out earlier, so I won't go through them again. So tonight we meet at the West Torrens Auditorium in my favourite city, the City of West Torrens, to appreciate the Greek culture and heritage on display in this most impressive exhibition by the Greek Museum of Adelaide titled A Cultural Trip in Greek Heritage. It is almost impossible to allude to West Torrens without some kind of reference to our Greek community. Shortly after I became mayor some 3 years ago, it became evident to me the importance of the Greek heritage in our community. With a residential population of about 61,000 in West Torrens, we have around 10,000, or 1 in 6 of our residents, claiming to be Greek or part Greek. This is also reflected in our council makeup, which boasts 3 councillors of Greek heritage, with many others claiming to be some form of honorary Greek status. You see, who wouldn't want to be Greek? Greece is most noted as the birthplace of Western civilization. It is home to the school of philosophers. Dialogue and discussion are 2 words that have their origin in the Greek language. Greek food, a strong, vibrant culture, but most importantly, great, caring people. Now may I take a moment to talk about the spirit of our Greek community. I was going to share an experience that I had growing up when I was much younger, friends with a Greek family. Had a little bit of a crush on a Greek girl, and inevitably met the parents, residents in Rankin Road, Mile End. They looked at me, and although I introduced myself as Michael, they always called me Marco for some reason. And every time I corrected them, they just continued to call me Marco. But anyway, the relationship between me and their daughter soon cooled. But the parents were always open and inviting to me, and we ended up making Greek sweets together and so on. So I soon became a member of their family, even though there was no formal connection. And I think that as I pondered over this the last couple of weeks, I kind of recalled that, and then I started to pull it apart so that I could get some reference point that really encapsulated the spirit of the Greek people. And it was that sense of generosity and charity. No matter what time I would go over there, they always would be very welcoming, always with food and refreshments, and always willing to share their thoughts and ideas about what it was that was important in life. And so that speaks a lot to living your life fortunate than them. And so that nicely ties into these concepts of philoxenia, philotimo, and naturally philanthropia. So let me also talk about another event, and let me set the scene. It's 2019, well before the pandemic, and Fiona and myself, I'd been appointed mayor 1 year earlier, and we decided that we would have an overseas holiday, and the first place we thought of was Greece. It was our first trip to Greece. And of course, when we arrived in Athens, we did all the things that tourists do, and we went to and enjoyed the architecture and the social life that was there, and went to a couple of nightclubs, bazookias, I think they're called. Now, I won't talk about what happened there. However, we went to the School of Philosophy in Athens and found out a little bit more about what it was to be Greek. You see, we wanted to immerse ourselves in the Greek culture. However, despite the architecture, despite the artifacts that you will see around here, the one experience that I had that made the most impact on me was an experience that I had in Kalamata. And for those who may have heard this story before, please allow me to indulge you and share it with you again. I'm constantly walking at night to try to keep my health in check. And while we were on holiday, I would go for an evening walk. And we had left Athens and we'd gone to Kalamata. And I was walking around one night, and it may have been in Papa Nicolau Street or something like that. I forget the street. Oh no, I think it was Torrens Street. And we're walking, and Fiona stayed in the hotel because she didn't want to go out, it was too hot, and she wanted to relax. And I was walking on my own, and I bumped into an elderly Greek lady, and I suspect in her 80s, because she looked a lot like my mother. And she started speaking to me in Greek, and of course, I didn't understand what she was talking about. And so I said, look, I'm sorry, I don't speak Greek. And she said to me in English, where are you from? And I said, Australia. And she said, oh, Australia. Now, she didn't ask me if I knew any of her relatives in Melbourne. But she said, oh, that's wonderful. And she had her shopping with her, and she leant down into her shopping, and she pulled out 2 corambietes and gave me 2 corambietes. Now, I love corambietes, I like having them with my Greek coffee, of course. And I was so touched by that, because when I looked at her and I realised that, among other things, she really didn't have much. You know how you look at people and you know they don't have much? But she was prepared to share the little that she had with a complete stranger. I was so affected by this. As soon as I got back to my hotel, of course I wanted to tell Fiona. I said, you know, I'm a stranger, I'm walking around, a complete stranger gave me some carumbietas. How did she know I like carumbietas? I don't know, but so we discussed this, and I was so touched by this. And I think from memory, I actually rang Bill, Bill Gayness, and I rang Bill, and I don't even know why you even answered the phone, because I'm ringing from Greece, maybe you thought it was a relative of yours, I don't know. And I said to Bill, I said, I was so touched by this experience that happened. And he said to me, well, Michael, you've just learned about philoxenia, you know? And so by making that comment to me, it made me look into the culture deeper. And all of these artefacts around the room tonight are reminders to me, not of my trip to Greece, but my interactions with Greek people. Because while these are very important artefacts, it speaks to what it is to be Greek and Greek people. So as I mentioned earlier, these very important fundamentals about philoxenia, philodomor, philanthropia. It is these traits that I believe best describe the Greek people. You see, against all odds, regardless of their opposition, nothing and nobody is going to hold them down, because they will always choose to do the right thing. This is the spirit of the Greek people and our Greek community. They are generous beyond belief. They aspire to the highest levels of integrity, and, as all of us are aware, they step in to share their wealth with those less fortunate. In fact, they defy gravity. How's that? They are much loved and respected members of our community, and I'm so proud of all of our Greek people. And I thank all Greek people here this evening for defying gravity and showing that anything is possible if you just give it your best. Chrysula, you and your team and the Greek Museum of Adelaide have done an outstanding job in putting together this exhibition for all of us to enjoy. Thank you for sharing this with us this evening, but also thank you for sharing this with the greater West Torrens community and beyond. I am confident that our destiny is to be friends forever. Thank you.
Thank you. I now call upon Honourable Steve Georgianis, Federal Member for Adelaide, to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Spiro, and can I too acknowledge that the land that we meet on today is the land of the Kaurna people, and pay our respects to all those past, present and into the future. I also acknowledge my parliamentary colleague Tom Kutsantonis, who's here tonight with us, Mayor Michael Coxon, Adriana Christopoulos from Somiak, and my very good friend from Charles III, the Mayor of Charles III, Angela Evans, Bill Gayness from the Greek Orthodox community, ladies and gentlemen, and a special acknowledgement before I start to Chrysula Melisinaki for the wonderful, excellent work that she's done in putting this together. And I recall a meeting we had 5-6 years ago when she had this concept and this idea of maintaining and keeping artefacts, cultural objects, clothing, anything that connected us to our ancestry, our Greek ancestry. And what a concept, and what a dream, and what a great idea. Because all of us, as you know, are all from Greek heritage. As every generation goes by, and you can say Greeks have been here, on the first fleet of 1770, there was 13 or 17 Greeks aboard that ship. But over the years, the turn of the century, and then the big mass migration of the 50s, which were our parents basically and our grandparents that came here. And we know how important their focus and their scope and target was to pass down their Greekness to their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And when you think about it, the magnificent job that they have done with the very little education they had, with the very limited English skills that they had, and with some of the hardest jobs that anyone could have ever done, both our mothers and fathers. For them, this is really important to keep their memories alive, to keep alive the things that were important to them, whether it was icons, whether it was costumes that we see at the back, embroidery. This is the life of our parents and our grandparents. And it's also something that was passed down to them for many, many generations. And if you have a look around the room, we see great local artists and some magnificent paintings and pictures that depict the antiquities, 2,000 years ago. The Greekness of Greeks 2,000 years ago. As you move around the room, we see the Byzantium icons, incredible artwork that have special religious meaning to all of us. And so on, to matchstick collections, where you see the wonderful Hagia Sophia in Constantinople and an icon of Christ, all done with articulate, interwoven, intricate little matchsticks. And right through to the embroidery that perhaps our mothers, our grandparents may have done, right through to the costumes that were brought here. And this is the linkage, the link that links us to them and their ancestors, but it will also be the link for our children, our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren to be able to feel connected when they come to an exhibition like this, maybe in 20 years, 25 years, when perhaps they have lost some of that Greekness that was bestowed upon us. We were lucky, we were the first generation or second generation of Greek Australians. And when I look at my grandchildren, who are now fourth generation of Greek Australians, I often wonder to myself, how are we going to maintain those connections and that linkage to our ancestry? And I think we have to put into motion at this point anything and everything that we can to maintain that. And this is a tool that will be used for generations to come. So Ursula, congratulations to the vision that you had a few years ago, to the wonderful work that you're doing, and to the wonderful contribution to us as Greek Australians here in Adelaide, but also to the many generations that will come after us. And let's hope that the foundations that you lay here through this museum will ensure that the safekeeping of this wonderful work for many generations to come, so people can connect their linkage right back to antiquity through their parents, grandparents, etc. So it's really important work. It's not just an exhibition that we turn up to and look at the wonderful paintings and say, they are great and they are wonderful and they're amazing work. But it's also that deeper meaning that it has for people of Greek heritage. I know that many of us look at these paintings and you think, I know for a fact, when I've been to art galleries around the world, and recently I went to an exhibition in Canberra at the gallery, and wonderful masterpieces that were here from some of the best European art galleries. There was a couple of paintings there that El Greco's, and immediately, while everyone was looking at everything else, I focused straight in on El Greco. Why? Because he was Greek, of the connection of the Greek heritage, and one of the greatest artists of Greek heritage that we've ever known. So it's really important that we connect. It's really important that we don't lose sight of this history. And the ancient Greeks actually knew something that was very important. They connected art and culture to the well-being of the human being. And that's so important for us to connect all of this to our heritage, to who we are and where we're heading. So thank you to the curator, Aphrodite, and Ursula and Panayoti and everyone that's involved in this wonderful exhibition. To each and every one of you, please support the Greek Museum. It is important, it's part of who we are, and it's part of our heritage, and it will be part of the heritage of Greek Australian to come into the future, and all Australians. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I now call upon Ursula Melisanaki, President of our museum, to say a few words. After that, I'll call on Mayor Coxon to resume the podium and declare the exhibition open.
Spiros. Thank you, Spiros. Distinguished guests, dear friends, Welcome to the Greek Museum's 6th exhibition, A Cultural Trip in Greek Heritage. I will begin with a statement by famous author Victor Hugo. He who opens a school door closes a prison. Following these wise words, we believe that every museum is a school, a temple for the promotion and exchange of knowledge about human history and culture, deeply rooted with the values of respect and appreciation for human creativity. The Greek Museum of Adelaide was founded on and operates according to these values and perspectives. The 6 exhibitions we created in the span of 2 years since our establishment are proof of the importance of our contribution as a cultural influence in our community. The dedication and activities that come from our vision to share Greek art, history, and culture with all members of the community, whether they have a connection with Greece or not, comes from a deep belief on the initiative to create a museum that benefits our society. Proof of this: during this exhibition for 5 days, students from 3 different schools will visit us. The young generation, our children, will approach and be engaged with learning something amazing: the art, the history of human achievement, the beauty of human imagination and creativity. Look around you. What can you see? Motivation for thinking, stimulation for exploration, love for creating art, respect for human needs for improvement and progress. Do you feel like an inquiring student, questioning your previous knowledge? If you feel that you have learned something from this exhibition, then our purpose and existence are justified and considered worthwhile. In addition to the scheduled school visits to this exhibition in afternoons, we also present award-winning historical films, documentaries, and lectures in English and Greek, which we promise to offer you entertainment and education. Dear friends, distinguished guests, members and supporters of the museum, tonight with your presence you declare your moral support to us, and it is gratefully appreciated. However, the Greek Museum needs more of that moral support. The Greek Museum needs a permanent open place to function effectively as a living museum. And it is time for verbal promises to become a reality. We believe that our past activities justify our request for more active support. You are invited tonight as representatives of important institutions in our society, where your views, decisions are vital and with the highest importance. You may think to yourself, how can I support the Greek Museum from my position? Our suggestion: you can become a member. It is the first easy step to discuss the museum with relatives and friends, to become a sponsor, ultimately helping us to develop a strong connection with the people, to share with us your experiences, ideas, suggestions. We are always here, available to communicate and discuss with you. In light of all of this, it is not only our duty, but also our pleasure to honestly acknowledge the generous hospitality of the City of West Torrens and Mayor Michael Coxon and the support of Ryan, which for the second time offered this wonderful place to exhibit. Thank you. We thank the General Consul of Greece in Adelaide, Mr. George Psiachas, for his enduring and sincere support. We thank the whole team of Greek Museum, the committee members and volunteers who helped create this exhibition. Our curator, Aphrodite Hinson, the Vice President, Spiros Aris, the Secretary, Panagiotis Mavraidis, the members, Anna Zounis, Jim Katsabis, Christos Vlachos. We thank Victor Eleftheriou, the Treasurer. We thank the people that helped us to set up this exhibition, Helen Kari, Victor Eleftheriou, Panagiotis Mavraidis, Aphrodite Hinson, and Spiros Aris. We thank the more than 80 artists and donors from Australia, and the artists are Helen Kari, Anthony Christou, Julia Karpathakis, and Mary Kalaitis, and artists from Greece that donating their art, Angelos Mavraidis, Katerina Patragou, Panikos Hadjitakis, Irini Lazaridou, Katerina Perifanu, who donated their art, and they trust us. And this is very, very important. We also like to thank our 123, for today we have a increase, financial members who support us as members. We thank our sponsors, Bank of Sydney and Omega Food, and our friend Arthur Kodopoulos. And we definitely thank all of you who, as our guests, spend your precious time visiting this exhibition. As President of the Greek Museum, I feel my duty, for symbolic reasons, to speak in Greek as well. Can you have a patient for this, please? Thank you. I think that we have to listen a bit of Greek. Αξιότιμοι καλεσμένοι και αγαπητοί φίλοι, καλωσορίσατε στην 6η έκθεση του Ελληνικού Μουσείου, ένα πολιτιστικό ταξίδι στην ελληνική κληρονομιά. Ο ξακουστός συγγραφέας Βίκτορ Ουγκό είπε κάποτε: «Αυτός που ανοίγει μία σχολική πόρτα, κλείνει μία φυλακή». Ακολουθώντας αυτές τις σοφές κουβέντες, εμείς στο Ελληνικό Μουσείο έχουμε τη βαθιά πεποίθηση ότι κάθε μουσείο είναι ένα σχολείο. Ο ναός της προώθησης και ανταλλαγής γνώσεων σχετικά με την ανθρώπινη ιστορία και πολιτισμό. Βαθιά συνδεδεμένα με τις αξίες του σεβασμού και της εκτίμησης για την ανθρώπινη δημιουργικότητα. Το Ελληνικό Μουσείο της Αντελαΐδας ιδρύθηκε και λειτουργεί σύμφωνα με αυτές τις αξίες και ιδανικά. Οι 6 εκθέσεις που έχουμε οργανώσει στη διάρκεια των 2 χρόνων από την ίδρυσή μας αποτελούν αποδείξεις για τη σημασία της προσφοράς μας ως πολιτιστικός παράγοντας στην κοινωνία μας. Η αφοσίωση και οι δραστηριότητές μας απορρέουν από το όραμά μας να μοιραστούμε την ελληνική τέχνη, ιστορία και πολιτισμό με όλα τα μέλη της κοινότητας, είτε έχουν σχέση με τον ελληνισμό, είτε όχι. Η αφοσίωσή μας σε αυτό το όραμα προέρχεται από τη βαθιά πεποίθηση ότι η πρωτοβουλία να δημιουργήσουμε ένα μουσείο ωφελεί την κοινωνία μας. Αναζητείτε αποδείξεις αυτής της ωφέλειας? Κατά τη διάρκεια της έκθεσης, σε 5 μέρες θα την επισκεφτούν μαθητές από 3 διαφορετικά σχολεία. Η νέα γενιά, τα παιδιά μας, θα γνωρίσουν και θα έρθουν σε επαφή μαθαίνοντας κάτι το συγκλονιστικό. Τη τέχνη και ιστορία των ανθρώπινων επιτευγμάτων και την ομορφιά της ανθρώπινης φαντασίας και δημιουργικότητας των προγόνων μας. Κοιτάξτε γύρω σας, τι βλέπετε? Εκθέματα που αποτελούν ερεθίσματα για σκέψη και αναζήτηση, που κινητοποιούν την αγάπη για τη τέχνη, το σεβασμό στις ανθρώπινες αξίες και δράσεις για βελτίωση και πρόοδο. Μήπως αισθάνεστε κι εσείς λίγο σαν μαθητές που μαθαίνετε κάτι καινούριο ή επαναφέρετε στη μνήμη σας ξεχασμένες γνώσεις? Αν αισθάνεστε πως έχετε αποκομίσει και μάθει κάτι από αυτή την έκθεση, τότε ο σκοπός μας και η ύπαρξή μας αποκτάνε νόημα και αξία. Επιπλέον, εκτός από τις προγραμματισμένες σχολικές ξεναγήσεις, έχουμε οργανώσει προβολές σημαντικών ταινιών, βραβευμένων και ντοκιμαντέρ και διαλέξεων, που θα σας προσφέρουν ψυχαγωγία και επιμόρφωση. Αγαπητοί φίλοι και μέλη και υποστηριχτές του Μουσείου, απόψε με την παρουσία σας δηλώνετε την ηθική σας συμπαράσταση στην προσπάθειά μας και αυτό εκτιμάται τα μέγιστα. Όμως το Ελληνικό Μουσείο Χρειάζεται κάτι περισσότερο από ηθική συμπαράσταση. Το Ελληνικό Μουσείο χρειάζεται πλέον ένα μόνιμο, ανοιχτό, εκθεσιακό χώρο για να λειτουργεί σωστά ως μουσείο. Και είναι καιρός οι προφορικές υποσχέσεις να γίνουν πράξεις και πραγματικότητα. Άλλωστε πιστεύουμε πως η μέχρι τώρα δράση μας δικαιολογεί τη διεκδίκησή μας για περισσότερο ενεργή υποστήριξη. Και εσείς που βρίσκεστε σήμερα εδώ, ως εκπρόσωποι σημαντικών θέσεων στην κοινωνία μας, που οι γνώμεις και οι αποφάσεις σας είναι ζωτικής σημασίας, αποτεινόμαστε σε εσάς για τη βοήθειά σας. Σαφώς αναλογιστείτε πώς μπορώ να βοηθήσω το Ελληνικό Μουσείο. Θα σας συστήναμε τα εξής. Μπορείτε να γίνετε μέλος. Και αυτό είναι το πιο εύκολο και πρώτο βήμα. Να συζητήσετε το μουσείο με φίλους και με το περίγυρό σας. Να γίνετε χορηγοί, δωρητές ή να μας βοηθήσετε να επικοινωνήσουμε με ισχυρότερους παράγοντες. Μπορείτε να μοιραστείτε τις εμπειρίες, ιδέες και προτάσεις σας. Και ξέρετε ότι είμαστε ανοιχτοί και πάντα διαθέσιμοι να επικοινωνήσουμε μαζί σας. Ολοκληρώνοντας, ευχαριστούμε τη Δημαρχία του West Torrens, που μας φιλοξενεί για δεύτερη φορά σε αυτόν τον υπέροχο χώρο, τα μέλη και τους εθελοντές, τους δωρητές και τους καλλιτέχνες από Ελλάδα και Αυστραλία, τους χορηγούς μας Bank of Sydney και Omega Food και ασφαλώς όλους εσάς που βρίσκεστε απόψε εδώ και αφιερώσατε το πολύτιμο χρόνο σας για να επισκεφτείτε αυτή την έκθεση. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Thank you, Ursula. Before calling on the Mayor, I'd just like to add a little parenthesis here. The artworks with green signage that are around the display have been donated to the museum for the purpose of sale by the museum, with the proceeds going to the museum. We would like to thank the artists for their kind donation, and if anyone is interested in any of the items for purchase, please contact either the President or the Secretary and take it from there. If you do make a purchase, it will be available at the conclusion of the exhibition and not before. I now call upon Mayor Coxon to formally declare the exhibition open.
Thank you, Spiros. On behalf of the City of West Torrens and the Greek Museum of Adelaide Incorporated, it is a great privilege of mine to officially declare this exhibition, A Cultural Trip in Greek Heritage, officially open. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes the formalities for this evening. Despite COVID, we are able to offer some light refreshments and some sweets on an individual gift wrap basis, no handling. And please enjoy and circulate and enjoy the exhibition. Thank you once again very much.
Εντάξει. That's where I've seen your work. I'm a cousin. Yeah, I grew up in Fife.